All right. On today's very special episode of Counterpunch, Dan and Chuck are going to
Specials.
debate Stranger Things. We're going to debate Stranger Things. Now, uh, neither one of us really know what the other's take is, other than I kind of started to imply to Chuck what my take was, and he said he didn't agree. And I was like, well, man, I think that's going to make for great content. So here's my stance. My stance is that the Will Byers storyline was injected specifically for social messaging and ended up having zero relevance whatsoever to the conclusion. This was a storyline that was forced, I believe, for social pressure purposes. Now, if you remember a few years ago, your ESG score was a big thing. And
Yes.
coincidentally, Will Byers all of a sudden becomes gay. All of a sudden, Will Byers becomes gay. And Ethan Hawke's kid, she shows up as the gay friend, right? And now all of a sudden, Stranger Things goes from this cool sci-fi '80s kind of escape, which is what I liked about it, the fact that it was an escape as opposed to everything having to have the message in it. Now all of a sudden you got the gay friend, right? Well, which I'm like, okay, I'm going to accept the fact that they have a gay friend because that's part of what the modern art is. Now, here's the thing. This is the tricky part, right? Is the way I sound right now, I sound like, oh, those gays, all those gays. From the truth of the matter is, the way the messaging is created, it's created so that if you speak out about it, all of a sudden you have a label attached to you. You don't understand and you don't know and you don't understand and you don't know, and this is ridiculous. So what I'm saying is that this Will Byers storyline was a storyline that was injected specifically for message purposes whatsoever. And I spent a whole hour on Christmas watching Will sit down and talk to his buddies about being gay. And now we had a whole Stranger Things viewing at our house. I had teenagers and adults my age. There was about 6, 7 of us watching this show here as soon as it came out. And the whole time I was doing a joke. I was walking around going, Will's sorcerer. And I was talking about how he's going to kill Vecna. Spoiler alert, he doesn't kill Vecna with rainbow finger lasers. Like, nothing about him being gay. Look, if they tied it in the end to where him being gay was a relevant part of the story, then great. Fine, I'm okay with it. But the thing is that I truly believe that that gay story was injected not for creative purposes whatsoever.
No pun intended.
So, anyways,
All right, allow me to rebut. Okay, so there's a lot about that I do agree with. You say it's injected. I understand why you feel it's injected. People are like, oh, great, here comes another gay scene, and I understand why that is. We've been inundated with so much, everything's gay. The last 10 years, we've been bombarded with gay, 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 as if people our age growing up didn't experience it step by step and have become accepted. But we accept people that are gay. We don't care anymore. I have family members that are gay. You have family members that are gay. We don't care. So we're tired of us being told, no, you have to accept gay. So I get the fatigue. I get where you're coming from, and I get everybody's knee-jerk reaction. But that's the shame of it all, because so much stuff is injected into other shows, injected flat out, like there's no purpose for this whole gay story that's going on in it. So we're here, it's actually done right, and it's actually done well. So you say it has no purpose. Allow me to rebut all of that. So Will Byers, a couple seasons back, you see the actors, what do you say, the actor or the character, you could tell he's gay. You can start to tell about it, like the little boy growing into the gay young man. You could tell, you could see by the way he looks at Mike, and his feelings and the way he has trouble expressing his feelings. You could see he's repressing something, and it's probably gay. So one, it's already relevant in the story, going along with what the actor is. Now, also, let's take the time period. Now, I don't know about you, if you knew anybody that had to come out in the 80s, it was not a comfortable thing to do. Maybe they didn't have the big intervention setting, but you it wasn't an easy, it wasn't very it was not an uncommon thing. The way they played that was period appropriate. Now, you want to say it's inserted, you could say that about anything. What about Eddie with the guitar? Did we have to have the Eddie Van Halen character? No, it's inserted. Why? Because it's an 80s icon, right? Coming out is still an 80s thing. It really is. This is when, being particularly male, I mean, male was much harder, but even for female, like, I have a very close family member that had a hard time coming out in the 80s. It was very difficult for her, and I understand. And so it looked a lot like that to me. So you're taking period appropriate things like they did with every other inch of this show and not inserting it. You're making a beautiful story in it. Okay, now to finally, why is it necessary for the end? So all the entire battle against Vecna is a mind game. It all happens inside people's heads, like as demonstrated by the cave that Henry cannot go into because the memory is so bad, so strong that he can't enter that cave, right? So everything's a mind game, and that was Henry's weakness. What was Will's weakness going to be if he needs to fight full force mentally against Vecna? He has to purge himself of all weakness, and he's hiding a secret that he's terrified of. So he has to come out. It actually works in the story. That's why the last 10 years of gay, 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 gay has ruined this appropriate moment for coming out for a gay story. That's my thought on Will Byers. It's 100% appropriate, and it's a shame that we have to view it with fatigue because of the social situation that we've been experiencing.
So let me ask you this. Do you believe that the Duffer Brothers intended for Will to be gay when they created Stranger Things, or do you believe that Will morphed into being gay? Now, here's the thing is that I'm not implying that stories can't evolve over time.
Right.
Right? I'm not implying
Yeah.
that stories can't evolve over time. But what I'm asking you is that, do you think that the Will Byers, I don't think it was obvious that Will was gay until they introduced the concept that he could have been gay. It's not like I was looking at this kid going, man, this is a gay kid the whole time. You weren't watching it going, man, this is a gay kid. You're just going, these are a
You've
bunch
seen
of...
it coming.
I didn't see it coming. I didn't see
I
it
did.
coming. I didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming at all. And the thing is that if it was important for Will to be able to purge himself of everything, why is
It
it
was
that
necessary.
why is it that we dedicated a whole episode to Will purging his internal issues of his internal gayness, but none of the other characters had to purge their issues? And why is it that Will absolutely obliterated and destroyed a whole bunch of demogorgons that were killing the most specialist of special forces, and one Will was able to obliterate them before he realized he needed to come out to be strong?
Okay, look, the show's not perfect. You got to cut him some slack, and they did. Everyone
Some slack.
think
They
about
got
there was
4 years to write the story, and that's a major, major, major mistake. It's
yeah,
a
and you can say the
timeline
same thing
thing.
about you can say the same thing about George Lucas. You say ask if Will Byers was supposed to be gay in the first place. No, but you know they were gonna if they're doing a coming of age, growing up story, they're gonna have to cover sexuality, just like they
Why?
would in a John Waters film. Why? Because that's the '80s. It happens. What story? Like, did you watch The Breakfast Club? I mean, for real.
How many gay couples? Well, how many gay kids were there in the Breakfast Club?
Oh well, none. But that was a difference. Yeah, I get you, but this one's fine,
How many
and it's
gay kids
getting
were there in the Breakfast
hammered.
Club? One. There was one gay kid in the Breakfast Club, and she was doing shots of.
Look, don't be mean. Oh, I thought you were picking on Anthony Michael Hall.
No, 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 no. I'm picking on that on what's her face.
Ali Sheedy.
Ali Sheedy. You know what I mean? That look. Here's the
Why do you
deal.
say she's gay?
Because back in the day, that's who the gay character was in the 80s. The gay
I
character in
never
the
saw it that
80s.
way. Shawler's like the new wave character.
Look, here's the deal: is that if for me, so here's where I see it. For me, I see that girl in the 80s as the one who ends up being gay. She's having some difficulty coming out because gay was a thing that wasn't really accepted, and a lot of people got picked on. So she was just kind of the goofy kid. She was the
Yeah,
strange kid. You know.
you
Here's the
could read
deal:
into it that way, sure.
back in the 80s, here's how it worked, right? Is that there was gay kids, I had friends that were gay that we knew were gay, and we used to say behind their back, I know this guy is gay. I wish he would just come out and say that he was gay, because
Right.
we all accepted him. We didn't
We didn't
care.
care.
But here's my point, right? Is that for the people who are creating this messaging, for the people that are, because what you said to me, part of the reason why I pushed you into this, because you're like, yeah, I'm not interested in talking about this. The whole gay topic is tiresome. And I believe that the
Mhm.
gay topic is tiresome on purpose. The gay topic is tiresome on purpose. Why? Because they're blasting it at us and they're forcing it on us and they're telling us, you need to accept gay, you need to accept gay, you need to accept gay, you need to accept gay. The same way they're going, racism, 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 racism.
Yeah.
We all solved that. We all solved that. We come from a time back in the 90s, we were hanging out, all different races. We were hanging out with gay people. For us, we were
Mhm.
youth. We were in our early 20s, and gay kids were starting to come out. And it was like, man, that's cool that you can now live your life as being gay. We accomplished that. We worked that out already, and they're
I
bringing
agree.
it back specifically to create divisiveness. So someone like me who's never had a problem with the gay community, I've never had a problem with the gay community. And the thing is just that enough where you sit there and you're like, oh, I have gay friends. It's like, wait, hold on. That's where you have white people saying, I have black friends. I'm not racist. They create the situation for you to say this.
Yeah, you can't even. Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
I've seen this movement, the political side of this movement. I've seen it in person. I've seen it in person. It's very, 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 very organized. It's very organized. And when people start to say, look, I don't have a problem with the gay community, everybody in a room, this isn't political stuff, everybody in a room who's on the gay side, they sit there and they go, oh, and they vilify you for saying, I don't have a problem with the gay community.
I got. All right, let me get in. Let's wrap this up. I'm gonna prove both of our points at the same time, and I can prove it with one word: Robin. Okay, Robin's gay story was completely inserted, completely unnecessary, and I still have yet to figure out what this girl brings to the team, brings to the table. Everyone else meshed in. Everything about her is extra. Her gay story is inserted. Her gay story is a complete message. Her gay story takes away from everything else. If you eliminated that, that would amplify Will's story, his genuine story. That's why. So I hate.
I
After
find
Will
Robin's
came
gay
out, I
story to
hated
be
Robin.
way more believable than Will's story. Robin's
For
gay
what
story
purpose?
is way more believable than Will.
What purpose does it serve?
What purpose does Will serve?
It's at least relevant to the main character
But hold on a
and the
sec, but
time
time out.
period.
But here's the deal: is that you said to me, I pointed out to you where your argument for how it's relevant was messed up in the writing, and you're like, "Oh, cut him some slack." They
No,
didn't.
no. You talk about how his powers, whatever.
You
But at the
just told me
final
the
battle, he
whole
had to.
purpose for his powers is he had to come out and he had to be free, but he displayed his powers before he came out. So it's not
Yeah,
possible.
but my point is that's okay. That doesn't negate my point at all. It just it makes a story writing whole. You take that up with the Duffer Brothers, not the Gay Council.
That's why that's why I'm doing it now. Is because
Bring it
you're
to the
saying
Gay Council.
you're saying it's relevant. Yeah, the gay council. You're saying it's relevant and it's important. But the thing is that
It's important enough.
it took years
That's
and
what they were
years and
trying to
years for
say.
them to write. It took years and years and years for them to write. And then after he discovered that he had this incredible, unbelievable power, we were like, oh my God, Will is Neo. It's like, oh, no. Will can't be Neo unless he's gay Neo. But you had to find out he
Like I
had to
said,
be
I
gay
get
Neo
where you're coming from, but
afterwards.
I get where you're coming from, but
I think the Robin
it's
story
not
is
the best
totally
argument.
believable. She's so believable.
My
She's
God,
so believable.
I can't disagree with you more. I can't disagree. I understand where you're coming from, and I don't necessarily disagree. I just think this was an excellent opportunity to showcase a gay coming of age in a period appropriate setting in an appropriate way. And it got muted because of all the fatigue from everything that's happened for the past 10 years.
I truly believe that this is injected specifically to drive a wedge in our culture. And the reason why is you'll hear people and they'll sit there and they'll go like this. They'll say to you, they'll be like, oh, what are you talking about? You just don't understand the gay community. You just don't understand the trans community because you're an insensitive ad label here. And then they go, I don't even want to talk to you. As a matter of fact, I'm leaving. I have to go shopping because my child's going to have a party. And you look at me and go, oh, really? Your child's having a party? Oh, what? Is it a theme party? Oh, no, we're keeping everything neutral because Agriel Abyss and Flaming Meadow and Flowing Leaf all get offended if they're not in a safe space without trigger warnings and all that kind of stuff. And this is a complete BS construct designed specifically to weaken our families.
Get where you're coming from? I just happen to agree. For once, I thought Hollywood, whatever you want to call this, got it right. And it gets muted because of the climate. That's all. So I see your point, and I'm not going to rebut it too hard, but I get it.
So what you're saying is that if we weren't in an environment that was unbelievably inundated with the forced gay
It would have been a beautiful story. It would have been a beautiful story, yeah.
And you know what? And that is something that I can agree with. Is that if it wasn't in this environment, then I would have been like, oh man, that's cool what they did to tackle that Will story. But you know what? It wasn't brave. It was more of the same for no reason.